Hello, welcome pen friends. I can't believe that it's time for Chris's Inked Pens July, but here we are. There's only one more day in June, so I have prepared, inked up my 8 pens for July. And we'll see if that turns into 20, but hopefully not, because I'm still writing dry a few from June. So I'm going to show you the pens, and then we're going to write with them, and then I'll depart for the library just to talk about what's been going on lately. So first up is it's an El Grande modified pen kit, and this was sent by pen friend Mike Shin. It's got a medium nib from Pen Realm that's like tuned by Kirk Speer. So we'll see the ink and everything when we do the writing. And then next is a TWSBI Eco Clear, but this isn't my original one. This is one with an extra fine nib on it that was sent from pen friend MS. So thank you very much to everyone, because this is pretty much a pen friend appreciation panel here. Even the inks over the years have been sent by various people. So next up is Majohn, or it used to be Moon Man, but now they are rebranded as Majohn or Majohn, I'm not sure how they say it, with an extra fine nib. And this is also from pen friend MS. Okay. Next up is a pen that I'm not exactly sure the model of, and I spent some time looking, but then I thought, okay, I'll have to just keep looking. But in the meantime, it's a beautiful little pilot pen with an extra fine nib. Sent by pen friend Marilyn, and it's just really intrigues me because it's kind of got the same feed and everything as a Metropolitan, but it has that elegant look and everything, and it writes really good, and it's really cool. I'm exploring extra fine nibs, so thank you very much for sending this. Next up is Kaweco Sport. And this is in Mellow Blue. This was a little gift from pen friend BBR last summer when Willy passed away. And I have Willy's ink, but this time I decided to use a kind of a July ink, which I wanted a silver. So anyway, I'm giving away too much. This has a double broad nib on it. Okay, and then next is another pocket pen, the little Opus 88 Mini, and it is the checkered one, and it does have a broad nib unit on it right now. I've got an old favorite ink that I'm kind of I use sparingly because it's a new formula now, and I don't think you can get it, but okay. And then another kind of patriotic, I thought, color is the Lamy Safari white and red, and I did put a broad nib on this one. It looks a little funny. I tried to find my silver broad nib, but it's probably on a Jinhao 80 somewhere, and I didn't want to pull it off, so I just left it there, and it's fine. It's kind of would have been better with a silver nib, I think. And I have a couple of them, but they're on other pens, and it's musical nibs around here. And then this pen, this is a beautiful pen friend gift as well, and I always kind of wonder what to call it. I think it's called the Fan, and then the color is River City. It's a Herbert Pen Company and Goulet exclusive. It's really neat, and it's got a broad sig nib on it that was tuned by Audrey. And when I first inked this up, I felt like the ink choice wasn't quite right. So now I have one of the Noodler's Eel inks in it, and I feel like it's spot on. So we'll see how it does. But I think that that's going to be, it's a neat pen. Anyway, it's beautiful, and it has a really unusual nib for me anyway, because I haven't delved much into specialty nibs, mostly just standard, all the way from, mostly from medium and higher, but this was a brand new experience, and still is. It's the only sig nib that I have. So I'll set up, and we will write with these and take a look at the ink tiles. I have those here, and be right back. Okay, so first up is the El Grande modified with a medium nib on it, and I can already tell you, because I had to write these down to get just a general list so I could remember all these details. It is just so smooth, and it has a really comfortable section. So I predict it's really going to be a fun month with this. So this is Grande modified. I think his words were highly modified. And it has a medium nib from Pen Realm. I'm not sure I need to write all this in, but I think it'll help me remember. Tuned or checked and tuned, I guess, by Kirk Speer. That's another first in the nib department for me. And this is from pen friend Mike Shin. Okay. And the ink is Monteverde Gratitude Magenta. It's a gorgeous ink, and I pulled it out of my pink bin. You know, it was pink and magentas together. And this was the sample came from pen friend KS several years ago, I think. And it's just gorgeous. I must have hoarded what was left of the sample, so I really had to work to saturate the feed and then use an ink syringe to put it in here. But I wanted to see it because I had just admired this ink that when someone else showed it, and I'm not even sure if you can still get it, but I wanted to see it. I wanted to see, you know, what I thought of it and how it compared with some of my other magentas. So that was the reasoning there. I always seem to like to pair a magenta ink with the pink pens. I don't like to go real light with my pinks. I like them to be really bright. So next up is DeAtramentis Alexander Hamilton went into the little TWSBI Eco with an extra fine nib. And this is an experience too. It's extra fine, and yet you'll see when we get to the other two extra fines that the TWSBI isn't quite as extra fine, which could be really good for me since I'm coming from broad nibs. So TWSBI Eco Clear extra fine. Okay, from Pen Friend MS. Okay, I got several Pen Friend sets where they have the same initials, so it's confusing, but we'll try to keep it as not confusing as possible. And then the ink is DeAtramentis. This is super smooth. Alexander Hamilton. I'm finding that the thinner nib widths are so good for my Hobonichi and even for my bullet journal. So it's going to be a really nice exploration month, I think. Okay, next up is an even finer, extra fine nib, and it is that Majohn C3. It has a cartridge converter in it and a really extra fine nib. Let's see, one of these I thought had a says Moon, yeah, it says Moon Man. Okay, that makes sense. They're still trying to rebrand, I guess, to meet some kind of requirement. But they were formerly Moon Man. Majohn C3, extra fine. I'm just calling this blue. I'm not sure exactly what the color name is yet. Also from Pen Friend MS. Okay, and then Diamine Oxford Blue. This is one of my favorite blues. I've used this with a really fine old Schaefer nib that I have, and I knew that it did okay. Whoops, that's funny. I'm not sure if I'm holding this just right. It may have a spot, a preferred spot. I've got to work with that. Yeah. We'll work with that and see. We're just getting started here. But it's a gorgeous pen, and it's got that extra fine that'll work really well in my Hobonichi. So next up is an ink I'm familiar with, my new favorite black, Cross Black. And I put that in the Pilot extra fine question mark pen. I'm not sure what the model is. I feel like an idiot, but that's okay. If I had the time to watch all of my friends' videos, I'd figure out probably what it was. Let's see, and this says Pilot Super quality, Japan, extra fine. Okay. So yeah, it's a super smooth, really extra fine nib. Pilot. This is like those quizzes on the on Tom's. No, I was going to say ink flight, but it's his newsletter where it's like, can you guess this ink? Well, I can't guess the pen. I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyway, it's okay. It's fun. It's fun to, you know, have things that we're not sure of, I guess. So it's black. Okay, and it's from Pen Friend. MMD. Okay, and cross black is our ink. This is super for the Hobonichi, and inked up with the black ink that I like this. It's really good. I debated. I almost put the carbon black in it, but I'm using that for envelopes in another pen, and it's a sample, so I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to use the cross black to try it out with, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so next up, I wanted a silver ink, or what I call a silver ink. It's a shimmer. It's the Diamine Moon Dust, and I put that in the little pen that was, you know, it's a commemorative pen for my cat Willy that passed away last summer. He will never be forgotten. And this is a double broad, and it's juicy with this ink. It's just fantastic. Kaweco Sport double broad. Mellow blue is the colorway, and this is from I'm forgetting some of my ink stuff. Yep, I'm going to go back and fix that, but I better finish this sentence first. From Pen Friend, BBR, and it's Diamine Moon Dust. This goes down really dark, and then it does go ahead and dry into a nice gray silvery color. And it's just luscious in this nib. This double broad is just fantastic. Okay, I need to go back because there were some more things that I forgot. Yeah, I was going to actually write in the initials of the ink. Person who gave the ink up here was KS, and I don't have to, I just need to put it near the ink and I'll know what that means. And then also the DeAtramentis Alexander Hamilton was a gift from Pen Friend LE. Just kind of helps me to keep these in mind. And then, well, Dimaine Oxford Blue, I may have had people send samples, but I have a bottle of that. I have purchased a full bottle, so time has gone by with that. And same with Moon Dust. I purchased a bottle of it. Now I can't remember where the original sample, who was the inspiration. That's too bad. I should keep all that real close to my desk here. Okay, so in the next pen, the other pocket pen is the Opus 88 Mini. I really like these. I know a lot of people have, there are people who have said, that mini is not for me. But I really like it, and I get along good with it. I have two of them. This one I purchased, and one that was gifted to me. Let's see. And I love being able to move these nib units around from, this nib unit fits on the Coloro and on this one, so it's fantastic. So it's Opus 88 Mini, broad nib, and Birmingham, Allegheny River Twilight, whoops, and it's the old formula, and I had like 2 or 3 pen friends send a sample, and I, you know, it was like almost at the same time too. It wasn't something that was avoidable. Usually everybody knows what I have. So what I ended up doing was combining them and putting them in this little old, delightful little ink bottle. And I just cherish this ink because it's not the same anymore. So it had this dusty purple kind of look to it. And the camera will probably brighten it up some. And it just is really nice. I think the closest I've come is the Robert Oster Muddy something. Oh dear, they're all right up here. Not Muddy Dragon. Oh. There is the purple that's in the Muddy series, and I'm just not thinking of the name right now, is very close to this. So that's going to be going forward. If I use all this ink up, that's going to be the replacement, I think. Oops, oh no, we can't see the July part. Okay, so next up, I'm using Pilot Iroshizuku Momiji. It's a beautiful red, a very quirky red, I'd say. You know, with a lot of pink in it and kind of some sheen and everything. It's a fun red. I just love it. And I thought for July, you know, for our Independence, July 4th and everything, we'd use this. I love it. It may not be a true red, but it's gorgeous. And this is the Lamy Safari. White and red. That's all I could find for color name. And broad nib with Pilot Iroshizuku Momiji. Gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Oh, I'm forgetting to put the little smears. Uh-oh. I think I contaminated that. Yeah, I did. Because I had something on my finger. Let me make a... No, it doesn't look like that. Okay. Okay, so then last but not least, I put... This sample just came in the door this week from Pen Friend AY, and it's Noodler's Eel Turquoise. I'm surprised I didn't already have some. I looked, though, and I didn't. And it is in this beautiful... The Fan River City Herbert Pen Company Goulet exclusive with the broad sig nib from Pen Friend CK. And this is just going to be such an experience. I could tell that this ink, it was between a Pilot ink, which I just, you know, I wrote all month in June with a Konpeki, so I wanted something a little different, even though that would have been fine to still go with Konpeki. And when I saw this come in, I thought, well, let's try it. I don't believe I've written with Noodler's Eel Turquoise before. I've had Cactus Fruit Eel and a few other samples come through. Okay, this is the Fan. River City is the color of the pen, I believe. You know, what do they call it? The acrylic. Huh. Oh, wow. It's even got, oh, it's number 88 of 200? Good grief. Okay. I never know what to put for this. There's so much. Herbert Pen Company and Goulet. Okay. Broad sig nib. And CK. Okay, and then Noodler's Eel Turquoise. Oh wow, that is pretty. Whoops, now I know that I know my fingers are all covered with ink. And I forgot to do Allegheny River Twilight, so I'll try to go back and do that. I think this is going to be a really fun writing month. Okay, let's do it. Let's find a pinky or something. Ooh, that's nice and wet too. So I do have a pretty good variety. This medium writes nice and juicy. And then I've got the 3 extra fines to practice and learn about and use in my Hobonichi and my bullet journal. Then double broad, 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 and stub nib. So I've got plenty for letter writing, and then I've got plenty for this experiment that I seem to have kind of shifted my attention onto at the moment. So let me see here. Let me fix things and I'll be right back with you. There. So these are the pens and inks, and I am really excited about it. I have obviously a lot of writing to do, a lot of pen pal letters, and journaling every day, and note-taking to do. And we'll head on over to the library, and I'll talk a little bit about generally what's been happening, and see you there. There, I'm over in the library now. I have, Coco is a little upset with me because I kind of made a little office cubicle for myself with a great big giant piece of cardboard over there by my desk, because really he tries to jump and he could actually hurt himself by getting stuff on his head. So I see him now, he can wander over there and find out more about it. Hopefully he won't get his head stuck between the cardboard. But anyway, that way we wouldn't have a big avalanche while I was doing the video. But one of the things I was going to mention is, I always like to kind of see, well, which was my favorite pen for the month. And for June, I would have to say it was this one. It was the Custom Junior George with the purple haze finish. And it has a medium, really smooth medium nib on it. And I used that Diamine Purple Dream. So even though, and it surprised me when I sat down to really think about it, that this was it, because the Benu pen has my heart, like totally. The Benu Talisman Mandrake, but I think I was happier with the magenta ink in that one than even I was with the Colorverse Gravity Wave. So it was a good experience, but I favor that other colorway in it. So I think that's why this one, they were both excellent, just really fun to write with. And then this one ended up edging it out. So I don't know what it's going to be for July, because so many of those pens are really exciting to me. And there's some new elements and revisiting elements and you name it. So I'm glad that there's a lot to explore there. Here's another project that I've been doing. Oh my goodness, this is embarrassing. But this week I have managed to clean all these old sample vials and old, this was from like 2 years ago, the Diamine, probably the 2021, not quite 2 years, but the little 12 ml bottles. These things were stashed under my sink, and it was really disgraceful because it was a mess. And I need the vials, so I had to, peel labels. Some of them had to be soaked, and then they all had to be rinsed. And so that's one of the things that I've been working on. And then the other thing is just survival in the heat. And luckily we haven't had smoke to deal with, but the heat it's like been 20 days. I think today's day 21, but I don't think it's going to be quite as bad. It's like, it gets to me though when they say it's going to be cooler, and by cooler they mean 110 versus 115, 120 heat index. That just, to me, that's like a joke. It's like, how much cooler am I going to feel? I don't think so. But we've been really grateful, really lucky. Everything's working well, and, we're using fans to kind of supplement so we don't, blow up our equipment, basically. And we're getting by, and we're feeling very fortunate. So there's that. And then there's my big project, which is, it's a subject I've talked about a lot before, but I have now passed 60 days with the caffeine free. So, I'm really, really excited about that. And because I'm using the Swiss process decaffeinated coffee, it's so little caffeine that I'm actually willing to claim that I'm caffeine free, because it's not even the 5 milligrams or anything like that of caffeine. And I feel better. I sleep better. There's a lot of improvements. But I had the twin problems to deal with. So now I'm using that same process that I used from the Dopamine Nation that I shared before, the steps to go through to lower my carbs and get rid of sugars. And it's embarrassing that I'd be back at this place again, because this is kind of like a haunting that happens to me. I can remember long streaks of having it under control, and I just have to get there. I have to get there again, where I'm those habits and those extra carbs. It's like carb creep. It is creeped in. I allowed it in, and I allowed that to happen. So that's been interesting. I haven't had headaches. I just felt like I could probably sit in the chair all day and not do anything, And I think now it's day 8 or 9 or something like that. And I wish I could say I'm feeling better, but it's a good thing that I let nearly 60 days of caffeine-free happen before I tried to really nail down on this, because, oh, you know, this could be harder. I'm pretty sure it might be, because it's more of a lifelong thing. And I know how bad it is for me, and I know that I can't out-fast a bad diet. You know, I do the intermittent fasting, thank goodness, and keep checking my blood sugar and all of that. But it's just, I want a better level of health, and so I'm reaching for it. And it's not to the point where I'm nailing down on every single label at this point. It's just getting the really obvious stuff gone out of my diet. And you know, I like packed some things up, because we do tend to do baking and a little bit more of that during like October, November, December, but it doesn't have to be a year-long thing. And it's not going to be, because I just don't want it anymore. So I'm working hard on that. Probably should be a separate video, but it is really important to me, because I have regained like 15 to 20 pounds, and I don't like that. I don't like how I feel, and I certainly don't want to be buying new clothes. And so I got to get it right now. I've got to make sure that I get back on track. But what stunned me was, it doesn't matter. I can fast the same way, but if I'm eating the wrong things, duh, I'm not going to do well, you know. And I think for a while there, I thought, oh, it's like a free ticket, but it isn't. It just isn't. And I don't want anything invisible happening that I don't want to happen either, so... That sounds kind of funny. Like I said, that should be a separate video. But doing a lot of reading, because I'm inside a lot of fiction, trying to read up all the paperbacks that I bought during the pandemic. So I'm doing that. And really, really trying to catch up with pen pal letters. But I am behind still. I'm really behind. More come in every day. So I'm really working at it. It's not funny. I think it's going to have to be like the February thing, the NaNoWriMo, where I do one every day, and there's nothing hard about that. It's just, I think sometimes it's like, oh, I need to be inspired to write the most perfect letter. Well, that's, you know, that seems unlikely anyway. Or if that happens, I think that's more luck, you know, and just the right subjects maybe, or the right connections at the time. So I think that a good pen pal letter is better than no pen pal letter. So I'm getting there. I'm getting back into it. You know, I've got everything all set up. I've even made it easier on myself by putting my envelopes and stationery right near the desk. I mean, it's just much more organized now, where my work area in the other room where I just came from, where I was filming, that's much more ink and pens and, you know, everything I need to decide what I'm going to be writing with and to film. And then over here, it's my grandmother's writing desk, and beside it, a little shelf that's now much more organized with notebooks, paper and envelopes, things like that. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes that I haven't been enjoying, but we literally have to keep the place decent without having like a ridiculous electric bill. I've tried to raise the thermostat. Also, ERCOT was asking us to please do that. So, you know, we're around 79 or 80, and it still runs, cycles on and off a lot. You know, not too much, because Dad taught me about that. Make sure it runs long enough, the central air conditioning. So I'm sweating right now because I normally have a fan in here, but I'm sure it'll just disrupt everything if I put it right now. So I think that's pretty much it. That certainly is more than you bargained for probably when you're tuned in. But I'll be writing with these pens, and then mid-month in July I'll come back and give you a progress report. And I do apologize that I have somehow sidetracked myself off of the student pen project, but I don't expect to stay away from it too long. It's just that I ended up, as is usual for me, interested in something else, you know, which is the fine and extra fine nibs. So I got a little bit derailed, but I think that I'll get back on track. I don't want to make too many promises, because that is when I don't quite do well. It's when I feel disappointed that I'm not doing what I said I would. So we'll get back there. We will. And I thought the summer would be perfect for it. But my vision of summer, like the beginning of summer, like June and July, is not what we've been having. What we've been having seems so severe, because just on the very edges of the days could I be outside. Sometimes by 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, it feels like just miserable to be outside. I mean, miserable and dangerous. And so that's not the way it normally is. You know, normally I would only be trying to, you know, do extra projects during the heat of the day, you know, like noon to, you know, 5 o'clock or something like that. So it's so different. And we are not the only ones. We're not the only state that's dealing with it. And other places are dealing with, you know, even more worse things like heat and smoke and all these things that are going on. So anyway, I hope you're doing fine wherever you are, and that you have pens, inks, notebooks, and projects to keep you busy. And I will see you on the next one. I'll see you in the comments too. I always enjoy interacting with you in the comments. And thank you for watching. Bye for now.